great movie, Simon. I love the part where the go-karts on Rainbow Road.
Yeah, I enjoyed the part where Browser sung about Peach. It's good fun. But I'm gonna get some sleep, Miss Tiny.
But I'm not... sleepy.
Love her. Tell you what, I'll put on some PJ Masks for you until you fall asleep.
Oh, I love that show.
I know you do. Okay. Alright. Okay, I'm just gonna run downstairs to get us some water and be back in a few minutes. Don't go away.
Okay. See you in a minute.
What was that? Something like it came from the sitting room. It came from in here. It was in my back garden. Who's out there? If this is the pizza delivery guy, this is really unprofessional. For one thing, you fucked up when you came to the back door. Well, one of the back doors. You're supposed to go to the front door if you're delivering pizzas, you idiot. And how the hell did you even get to the back door anyway? Oh, that's one way to get on a comfy sofa. Oh. Robotnik? Hello, dark boy. Did you miss me? Movie-wise, yes. Right here, right now, wise. I don't even know you. Besides, I thought you'd be busy in your workshop making new Badniks or Metal Sonic or something. Oh, contraire, mon frère. A little birdie tells me that you watched all 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies. You reviewed the first one, and you have yet to review the second one. That's why I'm here. Okay. Don't see how that's supposed to be diabolical. Oh, by the way, would you mind shutting the door? You're letting the draft in here. And the bugs. See, the world wants to know your thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I'm here to make sure you give a good review. What the hell? It's about time I reviewed this movie after so long. Well, gonna be here for a while. Might as well make myself comfortable. Nice sofa. For fuck's sake, Robotnik. If you're gonna barge into my house uninvited, at least get your feet off my sofa. Oh, where are my manners? Thank you. So yeah, let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I mean, ever since this first Sonic the Hedgehog movie was released in 2020, it was inevitable that a sequel would be made, given how popular it was in the box office. In a movie that breaks the curse that video game movies are terrible. Unfortunately, production for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 got held back due to the pandemic, until it was finally released in 2022. With Ben Schwartz, Jim Carrey, James Madison, Tika Sumpter and many other actors returning to reprise their roles, as well as bringing in new characters as well as more references to the video games. It even went so far as to bring in fan favourite character Knuckles the Echidna, which is something that everyone has wanted ever since Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was announced. Hell, it was such a popular theory that people even made fan art of how Knuckles would look like in the live action world. It's been over a year since the sequel to the popular movie about the Blue Bird came out, and it's about time I reviewed it.
Oh please, do go ahead and review. For this is the best video game adaptation ever made. It's even better than the first movie, and it's a million times better than the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The recent film and the 80s film to be exact. Better than Detective Pikachu. Better than any video game movie that will ever be made in the near future.
Okay, this is Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Huh. I was kind of hoping you'd be intimidated by that.
Not really.
No.
Roughly 8 months after defeating Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, Sonic, played by Ben Schwartz, attempts to help the public as a vigilante hero with little success. Tom Wachowski advises Sonic to remain patient for the day his powers will be needed before he and Madison depart for Rachel's wedding in Hawaii. Sonic plans to have fun while home alone, but is attacked by Dr. Robotnik, who has escaped from the Mushroom Planet with the help of a powerful anthropomorphic echidna named Knuckles. To honour his ancestors, Knuckles demands the location of the legendary Master Emerald, an ancient relic that grants its user immense power and the ability to change reality to their will. Sonic is rescued by Tails, an anthropomorphic two-tailed fox who idolizes him and comes to warn him about Knuckles. Sonic convinces Tails to help him find the Master Emerald while Dr. Robotnik reunites with his assistant Agent Stone and, scheming to steal the Emerald, offers to help Knuckles. And from that point the race is on to find the Master Emerald, with Sonic and Tails hoping to find it to stop the evil Dr. Robotnik and Knuckles from finding it for their own uses.
Well, you got the story of the movie covered, Mr. 44. But what are your personal thoughts?
Anyway, having seen the sequel myself once in the cinema and several times on Blu-ray, I gotta say it's a lot better than the original movie.
Oh, really? Just like that? Oh.
The sequel had big shoes to fill following the success of the original movie. And unlike most sequels that turn out to be not as great as the original movie, or downright terrible compared to the original, this one actually succeeded being better than the first film. Part of it is due to the fact that it takes a lot more inspiration from the video games compared to the first movie. The only video game parts of the first movie were really echidnas, Sonic the Hedgehog himself, Dr. Robotnik, and the rings. Those were the only things that had anything to do with the video games. Oh, and there was also the Green Hill Zone bit in the beginning of the first movie, and that was about it. But they needed very little in the original film in order to set up Sonic and Dr. Robotnik's backstory for this universe. The first Sonic the Hedgehog movie didn't have that much in terms of video game references, apart from Sonic the Hedgehog himself, Dr. Robotnik, the Bandits, and Tails during the mid-credits scene. But the sequel takes it up a notch by having loads of elements from the video games in it. With the sequel, they had more freedom to add as much video game stuff as they wanted. Of course, returning is Sonic the Hedgehog, played by Ben Schwartz, an anthropomorphic blue hedgehog who can run supersonic speeds, but cannot swim. He wants to use his powers to help others, but is rash and irresponsible. Upon learning of his arch-nemesis Dr. Robotnik's return and his search for the mythical Master Emerald, Sonic resolves to stop him by teaming up with his new friend Tails, maturing into the hero he aspires to be. It goes without saying that you couldn't have gotten a better pick than Ben Schwartz as Sonic for this universe. He just plays the part so well, and you could tell how much fun the guy was having recording these lines.
Welcome to Sonic Air, the fastest way to travel. Now boarding groups 1 and 2. Excuse me, we did not order a poltergeist. If this is the pizza guy, this is really unprofessional.
Everything he says just sounds like stuff that Sonic the Hedgehog would say. And it must have been one of his favourite roles to play.
Oh great, the Winter Soldier.
We of course get Tom Wachowski, played by James Madison, and Maddie Wachowski, played by Tika Sumpter. And while they had a huge role in the original movie, their roles were downplayed in this sequel, which honestly made sense because it gave us more time to focus on the Sonic characters, having the live action characters take a back seat. Since we got to know a lot about them in the first movie, there was really no need to add more to them in the sequel. Having them take some time off away from Green Hills to give Sonic and Tails a bigger focus in the main plot. And they only take part in Sonic's adventure during the climax, and that was a nice touch for them. Adam Pally returns as Wade Whippy, the deputy sheriff of Green Hills and Tom's friend. He was quite the comic relief in the original movie, and he still plays the comic relief in the sequel, actually meeting up with Sonic and Tails during the movie, and having the part in the end of the movie where he tries to interrogate Agent Stone, but to no avail. Maddie's older sister Rachel, played by Natasha Rothwell, returns, and she is freaking hilarious in this movie. We all remember she had her funny moments in the original movie, but here she just goes all the way with the script. And Natasha was honestly the right choice for this character because she just plays the part so effortlessly.
Hell hath no fury, like a bride score. Looks like it's real, huh? Ha ha!
You can really tell how much she got into the role with this character, especially when she had to go apeshit crazy. And half the time I think she just went off script and just went all the way with her performance half the time. We also see the return of Commander Walters, played by Tom Butler, the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who is now the owner and leader of the military organisation Guardian Units of Nations, also known as GUN. He played quite a small role in the original movie, having set up Dr. Robotnik to investigate the power outages that went on. But here he's after Sonic and Tails and any other aliens that may have come to the planet. At first not believing Dr. Robotnik has returned until he sees the evidence for himself. As well as bringing back the characters that we all know and love from the original film, we also get to see some brand new characters, including Tails and Knuckles. Tails Miles Prower, played by Colino Safanesi, an anthropomorphic yellow-orange fox who can fly with his twin tails. Tails is a humble genius who invents gadgets for locations and fighting. After finding inspiration in Sonic's bravery against Robotnik, he leaves his home planet for Earth to warn Sonic that Knuckles is hunting him and quickly befriends him. Colleen is the only voice cast member from the Sonic video games to reprise her role for the film, and she first reprised the role for the mid-credits scene in the end of the first movie. And because of the way Hollywood is these days, they could have easily just chose a big celebrity actor to do a child voice. But no, they got the veteran actress from the video games to do the role and kept her on for the sequel. Getting Tails' voice actress from the video games to be in the first movie was a plus, but having her stay on as Tails for the sequel was a bonus.
Growing up, I didn't have any friends. Everyone in my village thought my two tails were weird.
Hey, you know that feeling?
But then I saw you, the fastest creature in the galaxy. You were weird too. You were a legend. That made me think maybe being weird isn't so bad. You inspired me to leave my village, to find you and help you in your mission.
They could have just easily replaced her with another actor who's like a really big name, but they chose to keep her in the movie. And that's a big step up in a world where voice actors don't get as much love as high-profile actors do these days. That just shows that Hollywood does have some amount of respect for voice actors, in a world where cartoon characters these days for the big screen would get voiced by big-time celebrities rather than veteran voice actors. And I absolutely adore the relationship Sonic and Tails have throughout the movie. At first being total strangers knowing very little about each other, to eventually bonding into best friends and becoming like brother figures. And the moment where they turn in for the night at the barn is just so adorable, the way Tails wraps his tails around Sonic to keep him warm. It's just one of those touching moments that just makes me every time I watch it. We're also introduced to Knuckles the Echidna, voiced by Idris Elba, an anthropomorphic Reg Echidna warrior with super strength. He is serious, aggressive, and quick-tempered, but has a strong sense of humour. He is the sole survivor of the Echidna tribe after they were wiped out by the Owl tribe, and initially works with Robotnik to retrieve the Master Emerald. However, after Robotnik dishonours their deal and betrays him, Knuckles befriends Sonic and Tails and aids them in defeating Robotnik.
Sonic, meet Knuckles, my new BFFAE, bestest friend forever and ever.
Knuckles was a fan favourite among Sonic the Hedgehog fans ever since he debuted in the Sonic video games, so it made sense for him to be a main character in the sequel, and to have him team up with Dr. Robotnik only to be betrayed by the third act. Elba prepared for the role by exploring the character's backstory and identity. The director Jeff Fowler wanted the film's portrayal of Knuckles to be reminiscent of his early appearances, and said his entire existence is about honour and being a warrior, describing him as a force of nature. And I absolutely adore how tough Knuckles is in this movie, and how unaware he is of a lot of human cultures. For example, not knowing about ice cream and not understanding fun at first.
I am having the fun. What is ice cream?
It's a dessert. If you like fun, you're gonna love it.
Oh, yum. Dessert. Does it have grapes in it?
No, not usually.
My favourite running gag with Knuckles is that every time he goes to shake somebody's hand, he ends up crushing their hands. My personal favourite one is when he does it to Dr. Robotnik.
Whoa! You trucking space pumpkin! You crushed my favorite hand! Really? My hand is uninjured.
Longclaw, voiced by Jonah J. Flux, also makes a return as a hologram message for Sonic. The movie also introduces us to Randall Handel, played by Shamar Moore, Rachel's fiancé, who is a gun agent and is set up to become JoJo's stepfather. This guy was an agent for Gunn who originally went for the wedding with Rachel just as a cover-up to catch Sonic. But he ended up actually falling in love with Rachel, which makes it even harder for Rachel to know whether to trust him or not. And I'm wondering if we'll ever see him again in the third movie or any other movie for Sonic, because it would be nice to develop his character a bit more. Having him being someone who's fallen in love with someone even though his job protocol requires him not to fall in love and have relationships with people, making him a complex character. And another big highlight for the sequel is Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik.
That would be me, viewers.
No fuck!
A mad scientist and Sonic's arch nemesis, who he often refers to as Eggman. After escaping from the Mushroom Planet, Robotnik teams up with Knuckles to retaliate against Sonic and find the Master Emerald. It was definitely a no-brainer that Jim Carrey was going to return as Robotnik for the sequel, since he was such a huge hit as the character in the original movie. And you could definitely see how much fun Jim was having portraying this version of Robotnik, getting to go a lot more over the top with the character's insanity. In the first movie, Robotnik was already mad enough, but here Jim Carrey takes the character's insanity to a whole new level.
It's time to say goodbye to this piece of shiitake planet! Papa's got a brand new stash. I'm sorry. That just hit me funny. I got him! I finally got him! First Green Hills, then the universe, then the multiverse, then who knows? Maybe I'll be enough.
We all know Jim Carrey gave it his all and much more in the first movie, but in the sequel he goes all out. I mean, a lot further all out, and just takes the character of Dr. Robotnik to a whole new level of insanity. Having him being completely driven by revenge, since he was humiliated by Sonic the Hedgehog in the first movie and wants his revenge, as well as taking over the world. Unlike the first movie, you can really tell how much fun Jim Carrey was having as the character. Another one of those roles that he just ran all the way with and made it his own.
It is true what they say, my friend. You really couldn't have got a better pick than Jim Carrey, playing the genius of Robotnik.
And I admire how they took Robotnik's appearance from the first movie and just updated it for this new movie, having it being hinted at the end of the first movie with his huge moustache and his bald head. But in this movie he finally gets an outfit that looks more like something that Robotnik would wear. A long black and red coat, the goggles and everything. He even gets to ride his Eggmobile and has new drones that look exactly like buzz bombers from the video games, while still keeping the drone designs from the first movie. It's a nice mix-up of two variants of his drones and a good callback to the buzz bombers from the video games. Like the first movie, whenever Jim Carrey appeared as Dr. Robotnik, he stole the show.
I'm a creative sensor 3.0. My game is next level.
We also see the return of his right-hand man, Agent Stone, played by Lee Majjob, an ex-government agent and Robotnik's assistant. In the first movie, Agent Stone was the butt of Robotnik's insults, but in this movie we get to see a lot more of his personality as he opens up a coffee shop in Green Hills known as the Mean Bean, which is a nice callback to one of the Sonic games from the past. And they actually hinted in the movie that Agent Stone probably has a crush on Robotnik. And the hints aren't exactly that subtle, especially when he makes their faces on the cups of coffee. And some might find it weird that Agent Stone has a crush on Robotnik even though he treats him like shit. But I suppose you could see it as a Joker and Harley Quinn relationship, where one treats the other so badly but the other one still draws back to him. And if Dr. Robotnik does come back for any future Sonic the Hedgehog movies, then I think that they could explore Agent Stone's relationship with him even further.
He's back. He's back!
Tom Holkenborg returned to compose the music for the sequel after doing the music for the first film, and he has a superb way of taking some music from the video games while adding in some new stuff to it as well. giving some of the video game soundtracks an orchestral feel. It just shows how much talent the guy has. The movie is of course inspired by the video games Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic & Knuckles, but it's not a direct adaptation of either games. The director, Fowler, described the film as a melting plot of ideas from several Sonic games, and it really shows since they have so many nods and references to the video games. Of course, returning from the previous film, we have the rings that Sonic collects and uses to teleport himself and others to wherever they want to go, and as well as adding in Tails and Knuckles to the scene, they also bring in the history of the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds that make it. And a really nice touch too was having Longclaw's hologram explain to Sonic what the history of the Master Emerald is. And it really makes sense, since in the opening of the first film, she and Sonic were being chased by the Echidnas. So it's almost like Longclaw's story has come full circle in this one. And for those of you who either don't know or don't remember, the Mean Bean coffee shop that Agent Stone works at is a reference to the video game Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine. And it's obvious that the Death Egg robot is based off of the Death Egg robot that Dr. Robotnik often pilots in the video games. And speaking of the Death Egg robot, it looks awesome in this movie, being a combination of goofy like in the video games, but also threatening at the same time. I mean, just look at that thing, it just looks so awesome on the big screen and in the real life world. And because of how realistic CGI has gotten over the past few years, it really looks like it's really there. And seeing Super Sonic in the climax was just kick-ass. Everyone loves Super Sonic from the video games, so it was a really awesome surprise to see him during the climax of the second movie. It's an awesome moment, and I hope we get to see more of Super Sonic in the future of this franchise. Like its predecessor, the film set several box office records and received general positive reviews for its action sequences, humour and performances, but criticised its screenplay, runtime and pacing. Many critics consider the film to be an improvement over the original, and I have to agree with them. And it managed to raise $405.4 million in the box office. And that just shows how much people love Sonic the Hedgehog and this new movie franchise. Lego of America and Paramount Pictures even confirmed that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and a Knuckles spin-off miniseries are in development, with Elbers reprising the role as Knuckles for the series, which is set to be released on the streaming service Paramount Plus in 2024, while Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is scheduled to be released on December the 20th, 2024. In April 2022, after Jim Carrey announced that he was considering retiring from acting, the producers of the movie confirmed that the role of Dr. Robotnik will not be recast in any sequels if he followed through with his retirement plans, though they remain faithful that they could develop scripts good enough for him to continue the role. And it's just as well that they're not considering recasting Jim Carrey, because there's honestly no other actor I'd rather have play Robotnik in the live action world. Oh, and a major spoiler for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet. During the mid-credits section, we get a non-speaking cameo from Shadow the Hedgehog, another fan favourite, setting up for the events and the plot of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And this brings up more endless possibilities for various characters that could appear in the next Sonic movie or future Sonic movies. And I'm really hoping that we get to see Amy Rose in the next film or a future film, because I think this would be a nice way to develop the plot for Sonic the Hedgehog. Having him possibly develop a crush on Amy Rose would be very fitting, since he's never fallen in love with anyone in this franchise. And it would be a great way to introduce Amy Rose to the world of this movie series. And another character I so desperately want to see in the future of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie series is Metal Sonic. I just think he would look awesome in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise. And with how realistic CGI is these days, I think they could really pull it off. Some fans might think that Metal Sonic would probably appear in the same colour schemes as Robotnik's drones and Badniks from the previous films, but I really want to see him with the same colour schemes as he is in the video games. It would just make him stand out a lot more in a live action movie. He would honestly make an awesome addition to the live action Sonic the Hedgehog film series.
And all that is what makes Sonic the Hedgehog 2 the best video game adaptation. No, scratch that. The best movie on the big screen ever made in the history of Hollywood. And anyone who disagrees hates movies in general.
In conclusion, Dr. Robotnik, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 takes what was popular from the first movie and amps it up and makes it even better, making for a great sequel, and that's not really easy to do these days. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is further proof that a sequel to a movie is not impossible to do as long as you have the right team working behind it, and this movie definitely has the right team working behind it, taking elements from the first movie that made it so popular and making it even better with more elements from the video games than the previous one, giving the video game characters a lot more screen time than the other characters, setting up the worlds of the Master Emerald, the Echidnas, and other species that Sonic could encounter in the future films, and you got yourself the pitch-perfect sequel. And as you can imagine, it could be hard for the team to make a greater sequel with Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But if there's one thing I've learned from watching this sequel, it's that making the third film better than the second film is not impossible, since the team clearly loves the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise and want to show that love and dedication to the audience that they're aiming the films for. And we're going to have to wait and see if Sonic the Hedgehog 3 manages to top Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But for now, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the best out of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie series. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I'd highly recommend checking it out if you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, video game fan, Sega fan, or just a movie lover in general. You'll have a really fun time watching these characters play off each other, the amazing performance from Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, and all the nods to the video games that you'd have to pause throughout the movie and rewatch several times just to get them all. It's a fun time that's definitely worth checking out.
Bravo, Mr. 44. You've praised the movie as I anticipated.
Really? Getting people to watch and review this movie was your big diabolical plan?
No big scheme. I just wanted to go around and see how many people loved the movie, and then watch them as they review it and watch it entirely. Pretty diabolical, don't you think?
Well, you did break into my house and kind of wasted my time during the review, so yeah, I guess that was pretty evil.
That's good enough! And now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go prepare for the third movie and to destroy the hedgehog in my spare time. It's been a lot of fun, Mr. 44. It's such a shame I can't stay any longer, Mr. 44. But you know how it is with us evil dictators. People to enslave, planets to conquer, universes, and maybe even the multiverse. And who knows? Maybe that'll be enough. Later, hater!
Crazy. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks. Check on this tiny. What's he going to stand there for? Yeah, he'll probably be gone by the morning. Oh god, I can't believe the actual Sonia Hedgehog herself came round to visit us for children in need. Wait a minute.
Nah, is it me, nigga? Got you again! Got your ass again!
Piece of shit talking planet!